Golfgate. As simple as that. I'm just going to say that. So the Oireachtas golf, whatever the fuck you call them, basically, it's very, very. It looks extremely bad. Like, the government, this government will collapse because of this, because people are absolutely over enraged. And I said this to the agriculture minister, trying to say, oh, he's apologising and everything like that. He's apologised because he got caught. And his fellow cronies got caught too. I'm going to say this straight. And I said this in the tweet on Twitter, that, I know families, that could only have barely even 10 people in the chapel, and some of them had to say goodbye to their mother and to their father. And they couldn't do that. They couldn't go up to the grave. They watched from the car park as the coffin went into the ground. They wouldn't let anybody into the church. In some cases, they didn't let anybody. You had to watch it online. In some rare cases. And to let these clowns, I could go through. The Attorney General was there. The European Commissioner was there. The ex-OT radio presenter. It just goes to show you OT is in the pocket of all these people. OT was killing themselves today trying to talk about it. They didn't want to talk about it, but they had to talk about it because it's all over. Everybody in every part of Ireland's giving out damn about it. Because if that was anybody else, say if it was a funeral, the guards would go in and tear everybody down and arrest everybody and kill everybody nearly. That's how strict it would be. And if somebody was, if there was a funeral and they were saying the goodbyes and there was more than 50, the guards and the army would be called for, and they'd probably go and arrest everybody and put them into prison for life. And then when these do it, there's no consequences. They are totally against their guidelines, and they've totally contradicted themselves, as the government has done many times before. There was judges there. Those judges, just goes to show you where the justice system in this country lies. It lies within the state's pocket. So yeah, ministers and senators, TDs, everybody. Charlie was there. Just to say, Charlie was there. I think everybody thought, and everybody straight away was like, "Oh, Charlie probably thought it was the Black and Tans commemoration or something like that." I think Charlie was trying to get some votes for the Black and Tans, because again, they're still licking their wounds over the trying to get the Black and Tan commemorations. He just doesn't understand, Charlie, that the Black and Tans. He really wants the Black and Tans to come back, but unfortunately. It goes all the way to the top. Like me whole mountain. I don't know how he's gonna wiggle his way out of this one, but the other people, like the Attorney General was there. So many other people, like so many high-ranking officials of the government was there. Like a European Commissioner was there. Next OT presenter was there. Minister was there. Judges, senators, TDs, people on ridiculous salaries. And when they say that they're just going to get a slap in the hand. They should resign. Simple as that. Especially the minister for agriculture. He should resign. He's the highest. He was the highest ranking there. There's judges and ex-op. It goes all the way to the 81 people. 81 of you might as well nearly have the president of Ireland there, along with me whole Martin Leo Fracker. It could go all the way to the top. What else have they been doing behind their back? This is the next Watergate. This is Ireland's Watergate now, because people are in uproar. Nobody's saying, "Oh, they're entitled to it." Nobody is saying it. Nobody's saying they're already getting probably a pay rise of 9,000, because it was already said this year they'll be getting a pay rise every TD of 9,000, and senators have their trees. They got nearly 4 million for travel expenses, even though they went to never went anywhere. And they got that. I don't know how they got it, but no, again, Ireland, great country. And the European Commission, it just goes to show you, what was going on, what were they talking about. It's simple as that. Because it wasn't it's extremely stupid. It's only 50 for funeral, it's only 50 for wedding, it's only 50 for mass, and they were went over it here. And again, apologising when the harm's done and everything's done it's no good. Resigning is the only thing that can solve it. And again, me whole hasn't spoke about it yet. You think me whole would be on OT News. OT News just barely said anything. They didn't want to say anything. It's just, and then they didn't say anything but the ex-radio presenter being there. They never said anything. The list goes on and on and on. Somebody from Kildare, TD from Kildare was there, or a senator, I don't know, was it the TD or senator? It could go on. The government have really just caught themselves in. This will bring down this government. This will, I'm telling you straight, because the people are absolutely in uproar. The whole country's in uproar. Every part of this country is in uproar over this. There's not a person in this country who will say, "Oh, they're entitled to it." Everybody's in uproar, because everybody else has to, it's one rule for everybody else, and then they can go off and do whatever they want, the TDs and senators. So you understand why. I'm sure people understand why, because everybody's in uproar. I spoke to three or four friends there through messages, and they were not poor. They were not poor because they want to see. Some of them haven't went out for the last few months, and usually they go out once a month or twice a month. No harm in them going out once or twice a month. And then the only reason why, because they're trying to limit their contact and everything, they're doing what the government asked them to do. And they're doing what their country's asking to do. And these people are going and getting a huge amount of money for it. And God knows how much they spent in this event, because they didn't open their wallet and pay out of their own salary. Don't think they did. They paid, how much did it cost for them fight Mickey, Joe and Johnny and Jimmy and feckin' Mary and Timmy and fucking Shimmy and Timmy and Courtney and Seamus and Terry and Mary and the list could go on. 80, this is just the biggest. They just honestly just have made a huge mess of this. Honest to God, they couldn't. They can't wiggle themselves out of this. And then the excuse the Minister of Agriculture give. I said the former Minister of Agriculture, but the excuse, you want to hear the excuse that they had planned this for a few weeks, and they wasn't going to cancel. That's more or less what was said. And then he's like, whinge, quip quiet, I done this because I knew somebody in this, that, and the other. Doesn't make any excuse. Doesn't make any. No excuses, because people have buried their loved ones and couldn't. In some cases, as I said there was only a few allowed in the church, barely 10 in some cases in Cross Carvin. And some cases they weren't even allowed to say their final goodbye as the coffin was going down into the grave. Now, I don't know how any minister in the government can clarify that people had to go, because again, they can have their coffin day any day they want. They can have their little drakes and whatever the fuck they do on the Irish people's taxpayer money. But yeah, they can do that any day of the year. But yeah, they pick a global pandemic. And and again, this the reason why I'm making such a big deal out of this is because, as I said, I know people who had had to go to loved ones' funerals, and they were barely allowed to touch the coffin with so strict restrictions. And these people can just waltz in, no masks or nothing like that, no gloves or nothing. So no social distancing, 10 on the table. Not a care in the world. Nobody stopped them. The gals didn't go near them. The gals probably were told to stay away. You're just getting them in. 81, they were planning 100 people. How... this is the Watergate. We need Richard Nixon down here. Because, there's no way. I see no way of this government wiggling itself out of this. This will bring down them. And OT2 has to admit that one of the ex-reporters was... It's going to be good. It's going to be good because everybody in Ireland nearly now has seen it. Either on Twitter, on Facebook, or anybody in the social media webs. If they have to listen to RT, they spin it everywhere, trying to get some good narratives on the government. Oh, they will help. It's a fundraiser to help a poor person that was lying in the streets of Dublin. They spin it as much as they can. RT. They try and get it looking as best they can for the government's popularity. But again, this has harmed the government in a lot more ways because nobody will comply with them. Nobody will comply after this. With anything. The guards have to police the country very hardly now because people won't listen to this crack from the government. Especially people in Kildare and Offaly and Laois, who are in lockdown, really are in lockdown at the moment in time. They won't be very happy with this. And including if one of their senators went up there during the lockdown when she's supposed to stay in the county. Yes. Going country. Just, me whole and has a lot of explaining to. Because, this is really, and I'm telling you straight, because I never seen such backlash. I'm looking on my phone here on Twitter and it's just people absolutely go mad. Because they've been locked up in their houses, they couldn't do anything for months. And you have these people who probably went on holiday. They probably went on holidays to here, down everywhere. But anyway, Golfgate.